Hi, my name is Lavjot Kaur. My student ID is 20172864. Today I am here to talk about crisis management planning. The overall presentation is to covering the organizational levels and also operationalize the disaster risks with the reduce the effects on intervention. The crisis management planning is to enables the resources equation on the considered vulnerabilities analyze on to comparing the focus that preventing the vulnerable effects and always finding the context that measure the extreme encountered of crisis elements. These elements have significantly initiate the developed objectives. The level of crisis management planning is to integrate the initial part on the profitability that mainly creating to maintain the stockholders and focuses on the actions that enables the employee to change their roles and responsibilities in respect of describing their management towards the disaster crisis, clarify where people stand, and in many cases managers will have to stand alone. This also means stepping outside of what is comfortable, usual or expected, and it can be a chance for people to shine. So the mandatory part is to minimize the employee efforts and practicing the ability to bringing the chances. Crisis management is the application of strategies designed to help an organization deal with a sudden and significant negative event. A crisis can occur as a result of an unpredictable event or an unforeseeable consequence of some event that had been considered as a potential risk. A crisis management plan outlines how your business will react if a crisis occurs. The plan should identify who will take action and what their roles will be. The goal of a crisis management plan is to minimize damage and restore business operations as quickly as possible. Your crisis management plan is a living document your team can refer to and update frequently. There are various ways to outline your plan, but a typical crisis plan looks like a checklist. When mishaps occur, your team can check off what terms need to be done to respond to the crisis. A risk analysis will physically outline the potential risk your company may face and put them in order of probability on profit, including risk management in your emergency response plan is helpful because new leaders can refer to it if management shifts.
A threat to the organization. The organization is always want to remove all the potential concerns that could be produce a stressful situation like competitive disadvantage, strategy, marketing, and other detailing that directly impacting to the economic and financial disadvantage of the organization. With the growing threat of cyber attack, traditional information technology incident response plan often fail to consider the cross-organizational activity that need to be performed to remain resilient when a major cyber crisis occurs, resulting in a delayed, chaotic, unstructured, and fragmented response. A cyber crisis management plan is designed to reduce these risks through carefully pre-planning. Therefore, developing a cyber crisis management plan requires organizations to take a holistic approach to cyber crisis planning. By by proactively acting to build a cyber crisis management plan, a broader, carefully considered, integrated, and evaluated plan can be developed to meet an organization's unique demand before the crisis strikes.
My name is Sharmila Rai and my student ID is 20173029. I will explain slide 7, 8 and 9. First of all, I would like to say the heading of the slide 7. It's evaluate difficulties. There are three major parts in that. First is collection of information, less information and no contact data. Often, when an emergency strikes, like a natural disaster, for example, the floodgates of communication swing open, and for less information. But in crisis scenarios, the importance of real time visibility becomes a hurdle you don't want to stumble over. And in no contact data, for most companies, the main challenge has to do with properly storing their details. Now turn for slide 8. It is related to monitoring. Figure out which influencers and opinion leaders are likely to rely the crisis. This is often a long process, so it's necessary to do this as far in advance as possible by setting up alerts for your product or services. You will be alerted immediately when a customer reports an issue. Some monitoring tools let you filter all your mention by sentiment to prioritize negative comments and catch a PR crisis in its infancy. Now turn for slide 9. It is related to analysis of issue. First is serious decision making. It is related to crisis management technique is mean the minimization of risk and uncertainty with the ultimate goal of controlling every situation. These are measures aimed at reducing unpleasant situations and preventing them from spreading further, and in minimize uncertainty and provide security. The process of managing a crisis is detailed as it involves making serious decisions. Now turn for slide 10. It is related to findings. Adopt a focused approach, take initiative, and find out where things went wrong. Identify the problems areas and devise appropriate strategies to overcome the same. Gather correct and relevant information. One should not depend on guessworks and assumptions during emergency situations. Double check your information before submitting reports. Employees should change their perspective. One should always look at the brighter side of things. My name is Dhara Setia and my student ID is 20173257. I will present slide 11 and 12. Slide 11 is related to recommendations. First is excess risk. To begin the planning process, have a brainstorming session of excess various risks your company may face and responsive planning. Take each risk you have identified and determine what action your team would need to take to respond to the threat of its happen. Determine the business impact. Once you have identified an high probability risk that could affect your company. It is slide 12 and it is conclusion of our presentation. In this, without a crisis management strategy, it is likely to make mistakes that result in financial loss or lasting damage to organizational reputation and key relationships. Moreover, in the absence of the crisis strategy, and larger organizational strategy is at risk. The necessary part for the organization is to accelerate the further research that includes the determination on business impact and always planning that focuses on responsive development.